How's it going, campers? Welcome to Campfire Stories. This is the official LNS Ad Camp podcast. I am your host, Rose, and today we're going to learn all about design. But before we begin, I wanted to explain the purpose of this podcast. You, the listener, are probably a student looking for an internship right now, and you've got a couple questions. But yeah, that's what we're here to do today. We're hopefully going to answer some questions by bringing on an expert in each discipline. And yeah, get those questions answered. So today we have brought on Dan to talk about design. Welcome to the campsite, Dan.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
Great to have you here. So a fun little few tidbits about you is like you're huge into race cars, I've heard.
I am huge into race cars.
Yeah, you're into things that go zoom.
Things that go zoom.
You're also incredibly zoomy yourself. We don't get to really chat that much, but I have a parasocial relationship with you because you are just incredibly quick at sending memes in the chat. You have an innate talent for it. It's insane.
You know, marketing and design is all about communication, and memes are my preferred form of communication. So
that's great.
I want to excel at it.
One thing I was told to bring up or ask you about is hat collections.
I am a huge avid fan of the flat bills. Rocking the Seattle Kraken today, but I got a bunch of racing ones, Broncos ones, just random minor league baseball teams. We got the Rocket City Trash Pandas, there's a team that does the tacos, so I got a couple dope ass taco hats.
Sick.
So, yeah, big fan of hats.
Cool. Well, I think to start off, I'll have you just introduce yourself, your title, and how long you've been at LNS.
Yeah. So my name is Dan Dismounts. I went to SDSU. I've been at LNS for a decade now. I was an intern in 2014. One of the biggest intern classes we had. There were 12 or 13 of us that summer.
That's a chunk.
So that was quite an experience. Came from SDSU, and most of our designers come from there.
I was gonna say, there's a lot of people from SDSU design program.
Yeah. So we pull from Brookings a lot for designers. Not opposed to other schools, obviously, but we just had good luck there.
Yeah. Quick question. What exotic animal do you think would make just a great pet?
A great pet? A capybara. A little...
Yeah. They seem incredibly friendly. And they
look like a crossover of hamster and a koala bear kind of. I don't know.
I think I've seen pictures of them. They just kind of hang out with whoever.
I think so. I think they seem mild-mannered, pretty chill, hang out. And I obviously never seen one in person, so it'd be cool to see what.
Oh yeah, and hang out all the time. Personally,
all the time.
I think I'd love to go pirate mode and have a parrot on my shoulder.
That would also be pretty dope.
Yeah.
I had to worry about that thing flying away though.
Yeah.
Giving away my secrets.
That's tough. No, I would teach it to rap strictly. It would never tell my secrets. But speaking of exotic pets, one of the most exotic pets you can have, in my personal opinion, is a pet rock. So that's what we're doing today. We're choosing a rock, whichever one speaks to you, and painting it, and we're gonna deem it our pet.
Let's do it.
Cool. It kind of has no choice. So
it's on.
Yeah. So I guess you can have first pick of the rock.
Heck yeah. All right. Which rock speaks to me?
Yeah.
Oh, little guy.
Oh, yeah.
Little guy.
That's good. Yeah, we can start out you kind of mentioned already a little bit of your background with school, but how did you get your start in art and design in general?
Well, I started my design career per se as a kid, obviously, as everyone does. Every kid's an artist. I know that saying's everyone's an artist until eventually you kind of grow out of it, but designers never really grew out of it. And as a kid, I loved doing art. And I just didn't know how I was going to parlay that into any kind of career outside of just being like a starving artist. And I started as a kid just starting to like love logos for some reason. Like I would draw like NFL logos or brand logos on like the margins of my homework as I was bored. So I started like kind of like learning design principles on my own when I was in elementary school. It was like drawing logos and replicating them. And so as I got older, I was like, well, this would be cool. It's like somebody has to create these logos that I'm drawing on my homework. So who does that and how do I start doing that? So I was fortunate enough that I've kind of known what I wanted to do for
quite a long time.
Middle school.
Yeah.
So I was kind of prepared for that. And as I went through, in middle school, we had like our school band. One of my first like big projects, so like graphic design's an actual thing, was our middle school band was going to march in a parade. And being that we were a middle school band, we didn't have any like uniforms or anything. So like, we should design a shirt or something. So I was drawing and they were like, hey, let's make that a t-shirt. And so it was really cool to like go through the process of like designing a t-shirt when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
And like that feeling of seeing everybody like in the parade, like wearing something that like I created. I was like, this is pretty awesome. And that just kind of solidified. I was like, design is kind of what I really want to do.
Yeah. You've been riding that high ever since?
It's just been, going through. And still to this day, like any designer, like we see like a billboard that you designed or TV commercial that you worked on or an ad in a magazine or something. There's just something really cool about being like, oh yeah, that's something that like I was working on or something I created that's out there for everyone to see now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very neat. So then like graphic design specifically, what kind of programs and stuff did you start like, I don't know, like tinkering away at for like graphic design?
So back in that day, I mean, this was mid 2000s. I didn't have, like, as a kid tinkering around, I didn't have access to, like, Photoshop or anything. But what I would do is me and some buddies would just, like, mess around. A lot of, like, the memes and stuff that I, like, shared to this day. It's, like, it's all rooted in just, like, doing quick, dumb stuff in, like, PowerPoint. Create ridiculous PowerPoints. We had, like, ducks shooting lasers at our eyes and just using, like, transitions in there and just kind of taking the tools that PowerPoint gave us, but then stretching them into like ridiculous ways. But like that or Microsoft Paint. I don't know how, like looking back on it, I did some crazy stuff with Microsoft Paint and it was like the most tedious thing in the world. I don't know how I ever did that. But then once I got into high school, I started learning a little bit about Photoshop and Illustrator. And kind of got a little bit of a grasp on that, and then really learned it well when I went to college, SDSU, to get a graphic design degree. That's where I really kind of came into my own on how the programs worked. I had an idea of what I wanted to do in my head, but getting that grasp on how to execute everything that I wanted to do really came there.
Yeah. So from college into like an internship at an agency, what was kind of like the biggest, like, I guess, learning curve that you came across?
I think my biggest thing was that college and everything before that had kind of prepared me on the how of graphic design. So like I was explaining, like how to use these programs, how to create this, what's the best way to do this, some of those best practices, how to do stuff. And it wasn't until then I got to LNS and did my internship that I started thinking more in terms of beyond just the craft of design, but switching my focus into marketing specifically and figuring out the why behind things. So instead of just making something look good for the sake of looking good, it was kind of reshifting my focus to, all right, why am I doing this? And what am I trying to say with it? And that's really the big difference between commercial art and design versus just your traditional fine arts. It's that everything, well, they both have things to say. Your design has to be much more thought out, and why are we doing this? Is this saying what we want it to do? And that comes down to your design principles. It goes back to what we learned in college. You know, the colors, the fonts, your photography, is everything lining up to push this piece in the right direction.
Right.
So that's one of those things. I don't think I could have learned that in school. I had to get the experience on the job to kind of wrap my head around how and why we were doing things together.
Definitely. Going into your internship, what kind of were you expecting to learn?
I think I was just I didn't honestly have a great idea as to what it was going to be like. I knew I would learn, and I knew there were things like I didn't have a big grasp on, things like animation or web design, things that I kind of dabbled in a little bit in college, but I figured I was like, I'm coming to a new place with people with a lot more experience, and I knew they did, we handle a bunch of that kind of stuff. So I was kind of excited to learn, push myself out of my own comfort zone in terms of the types of things that we were designing. So like the websites were a big one. And then, web banners, stuff like that. Like I hadn't done much of that. So it was fun to get to learn that. And that's what I expected. And I did learn a bunch of that stuff as well.
Yeah.
It lived up to my expectations, even though my expectations kind of low. But then it exceeded them.
But you went in with an open mind. Cool. Yeah. So what were some of those first projects that you got to do where you were like, yeah, this is kind of sick?
The very first thing I got to do was I laid out, you didn't even do them anymore, but they had, it's called a freestanding insert. Essentially, it was a small newspaper that went inside of a newspaper. So your ads you'd find in the newspaper. But I designed one of those. It was 8 pages. And it was just kind of wild to see. That was the first big thing, in the Argus Leader. I was like, wow, I created something that's going out to all these people. Mm-hmm. So that was really exciting. And then we also, because our internship class at the time was so big, we had our own external project. So we helped work with the American Heart Association on their Heart Walk for the summer.
Right.
So we designed posters, billboards, we did TV commercial, swag at the events. We did all kinds of stuff that summer. And the first time I saw a billboard I designed was for the Heart Walk. I was driving down Minnesota Avenue, and it just kind of I was like, whoa, I was like, that was just on my computer 3 days ago.
There it is.
And then it was just big on a giant billboard. So that was really cool. It's, like I said, it's really interesting to see your work out in the world, something that you thought of, something that was in your brain, and just to see it come to fruition.
Definitely. So as you work today, can you just give me a rundown of what you might work on in a typical week? Yeah,
we kind of do it all. And that was, I mentioned before, that being one of the big learning curves was just how much stuff we do, because our ad campaigns span things from, it could be, the small digital banner at the bottom of some mobile game that you're playing, all the way up to, we're nationwide commercial purchases. So in this last week, I've worked on designing a website. I've helped design a logo. I've done a couple banner sets. I was on a TV shoot all of last week. So my responsibilities kind of range. It's a wide variety of different things that I'm doing. And it's never, the old cliche is that no 2 days are ever the same.
Definitely.
But it really lives up to it here.
Are there any misconceptions about your job? What is not design?
What is not design? I mean, everything's pretty much design, which is kind of wild.
Well, there you have it.
Everything is designed, whether you think about it or not. Everything's saying something. Everything conveys some kind of message or emotion, just the way it is. Even, nature.
Maybe this rock.
Yeah, this rock is going to convey something. So everything is designed, whether it's intentional or not. It's just our job to help make sure that we shape things the way that we want them to be perceived in graphic design.
Interesting.
Especially for marketing graphic design. And shape the message and the narrative.
Yeah. So when, I guess, you start out, you're gonna be told no more often than I would assume you would in college. How is that like transitioning into a place where it's like you're getting critiqued like all the time and you have to like kind of balance your creativity and like fulfilling what you want to make along with what the client requires you to?
Yep. That's probably the biggest piece of what I mentioned, that the biggest learning curve for me was figuring out why we had to do stuff and not just how. And that was kind of one of the big things is your brain's adept at, I'm just here to make things look cool because that's all you've ever been judged on coming out of school is how cool does something look. But then when you have to do things for clients specifically, they have a certain set of needs that they need to increase sales or drive people here or get them to do this, take this action. So you really have to put yourself in their shoes, not just how cool does something look, but what's it going to do? How's it going to move the needle? And sometimes it's different than what you think it's going to be when you first start. So getting client feedback and working with that, it's a bit of an adjustment, a little bit of a learning curve, but at the same time, you've got to have an open mind and know that you and the client are a team trying to achieve one goal. It's how can I best help them do what they need to do? And they're going to try and help me, give me the information that I need to move the needle that way.
Makes sense. How's your rock coming?
Fantastic.
Do you have a vision or are you just like kind of going in?
Just kind of going right now. We're getting some eyelashes, I think.
Oh, you're doing a face.
We're going to do...
I didn't even think of that.
Going to go all out here.
Man, okay. I gotta like step up my rock game. Do you have any like crazy stories from your internship? I always like to hear like what's like the most wild thing you got to do.
The most wild thing. We did, so with the Heart Walk, for my internship class, our project, we had a dodgeball tournament, actually, that we participated in. So that's kind of cool to see. Senator Thune was there, and he was wearing a shirt I designed, which was kind of wild. As a fresh out of college kid, being like, whoa, okay, this is kind of different. But it was a good time. We had a bunch of different people just all together to play dodgeball, dip, duck, dodge, and diving.
Did you win?
We did not.
Oh.
I can't remember who did win, but it was a good time.
Regardless.
Yes. Throughout. We also created a wall for an art installation downtown Sioux Falls that we asked, we put a prompt on there and there was chalk, and we asked who you walk for, or who do you know who has been affected by heart disease, and we put it downtown at 3 p.m. on a Thursday, I think it was, and we didn't expect anything crazy, and by 6 p.m., 3 hours later, one of our intern classmates was downtown, and they sent us a picture, and they're like, we actually need to erase the wall and redo it because it's already full of everybody. It wasn't, we thought it might just be random graffiti or not, but people were taking it very seriously, and it was a lot of answers, and so we'd take pictures every day and end up having to erase it and make room for new people.
Oh man,
new comments.
That kind of restores faith in humanity right there.
It was pretty crazy. It was a good time. It was definitely another experience, and that was another one of those situations where no 2 days are the same kind of thing, because we had the idea and then we had to build the wall. So we were literally, it wasn't just like our sitting at our computer designing situation. We were in here in the production center with saws, cutting wood, building this board and painting it with like chalkboard paint so that everybody could use it. But it was kind of wild. It was definitely something different, but that creativity really got to futz its legs there a little bit.
Definitely. I guess for like people thinking like, oh, maybe I want to apply, what would you say makes a good portfolio?
A good portfolio technically starts with, for a designer specifically, a good portfolio starts with the resume. And I would say every other profession is judged based on what's on your resume, whereas a designer, for the most part, it's what your resume looks like that matters more so than what's on it. So making sure that that's what you're really showcasing. I mean, we're going to hire a designer specifically for their communication and layout skills. So having a good understanding of layout really shines through immediately on your resume. The first thing that we look at.
So not just like a Microsoft Word document.
Like a Microsoft Word
that is so interesting. So like the words obviously matter, but yeah, I would say for like copywriter, like the words are everything.
Yep.
But that's really interesting.
For us, we judge you based on your first impression in layout is with that resume. That's the first thing that we'll see. And it will oftentimes make or break, because it's if you're a good designer, you have a good looking resume. And then beyond that, your portfolio, you just want to see you have a good grasp of your design principles. So see a few layouts, a few logo designs. We're not expecting world-changing stuff, but it's nice to see a good variety of things for applicants as well.
Definitely. Other than asking good questions, which is kind of the one that everybody says, what makes a successful intern?
A successful intern is somebody who's willing to learn, and kind of, especially with designers, we can be ego-driven a little bit. So being able to like put that aside, and like we talked about earlier, it's taking feedback and knowing that you're going to make mistakes, you have some things to learn. That's really a big part of it. Somebody who's adaptable, quick learning, and willing to put aside ego are really the big traits that we're looking for in our interns. And I mean, that's something that most of our designers who came up through the internship program, we all had those traits and had to make those learnings on our own as well.
I like to call this one my Jeff Foxworthy question. You know, the whole like, if you did it a bit better, you might be a redneck. So my version is if you, and then you're going to fill in the blank.
Oh no.
You might be fit for a graphic design internship.
Oh no. Let's see. If you are constantly annoying your friends, family, significant others with fonts on a menu at a restaurant, just naming the fonts. I've learned, I thought that I was the only one in the world who would do that. I'd sit down and be like, hey, look, there's Gotham on this menu. And then as I talk to the other designers that we have here who've come through the internship program, a lot of them are like, oh yeah, no, we do the exact same thing. Whether it's like a menu at a restaurant, or see a billboard, or they love to call out fonts and just kind of flex the knowledge of fonts. So if you are constantly naming fonts to all your family, friends, and loved ones, you might be apt and ready to become a graphic designer.
Nice.
At least apply for the internship.
You should apply. What about the reverse of that? Do you have like if you blank, then try something else?
Yeah. Great question.
I mean, you did say everything is design, so.
Everything is design. Yeah.
If not,
I think, everyone should. Everyone is a designer in their own way.
definitely.
So,
No, that's okay. We won't discourage anyone.
there we go.
Yeah. What is your favorite font? You were talking about fonts. Do you have ones you love, ones you hate?
Do I have? One I thought was so cool when I was in like high school that now I look back and just cringe. Is Bleeding Cowboy. And if you guys look it up, it is very trendy, grunge, mid 2000s font. I thought it was so cool back in the day, and now I look back on it like, what was anyone thinking with this font? So that's my not go-to.
All right.
My go-to now, I'm very much just a clean sans serif guy. I use Din quite a bit, Gotham. They're like go-to ones. They're kind of cliche, but they're just tried and true. So personally, that's where I'm at. Otherwise, there's a font called Acme right now that I like. It's kind of got a farm implement kind of feel to it. And I really want to start to use it for projects more, but we haven't had the client or the project that aligns well with it yet. But when we get it, I'm going to use it.
Kind of sounds like acne, but I'm sure it looks better. Zits.
No, Acme, like the company for Roadrunner and Coyote back in the day. Those old cartoons.
Ah, yes.
It's a good one. How's your Perrock looking?
It looks like kind of like melted sherbet ice cream. I don't know. I'm kind of into it. How's yours turning out?
I don't know what it is exactly, but it's got a face and it's waving at me.
No, I like that a lot.
Jeans.
Yeah, what will you be naming your pet rock?
This Perrock, this is really speaking to me. It looks like a Carl.
Carl.
Carl the Rock.
Yeah, that's good. I don't know. I had this idea earlier, and it was rock lobster, but then I kind of like strayed away from the whole lobster vibe. But if I do name it Rock Lobster, then it has an epic theme song and
There you go.
very sick bass line to go with it. That's right. I would say that song contends with Love Shack. I don't know.
It's more.
It's okay. Yeah. A quick kiss, marry, kill. Igneous, sedimentary, or metamorphic rock.
Ooh, I'm gonna marry metaphoric rock. I'm going to kiss igneous. This just sounds like a rock you want to kiss. And what was my other option? Sedimentary was.
Sedimentary, yeah.
Yeah, that will have to die. Kill.
Okay.
I'll kill some sedimentary.
Do you like have reasons for this, or just like vibes?
Who wants rock that's just settled there? No, I want rock that's put in some work.
I don't know. That's kind of controversial. I feel like igneous is the settler. Like, what did it do? You know, it was just lava, and it was like cool and moving, and then it cooled off.
Came from all the way. It had to journey from deep within the earth.
I guess so. Honestly,
It's seen some stuff.
I think I would kill it, to be honest. I don't know. Any other last sage wisdom advice for young designers or any person seeking an internship in general?
Yeah, no, I think we talked about it earlier. It's just having an open mind and come in willing to learn. We've got a ton of different opportunities for interns here at LNS, and we want to make sure that we have the right people in place. And those people are people who, adaptable, open-minded. Those people usually thrive here and do a really good job that will give them the opportunity to go as far as they want.
Awesome.
That's a big thing.
Thank you so much for joining me at the campsite, making a little rock friend. We should hold him up. Introduce him to the world.
Ew, Carl.
Carl and Rock Lobster. Yep, that's, there they are. With that, don't forget to apply to Ad Camp 2025. Applications are going to be open Monday, December 9, and close Sunday, January 19th. So get those things in there. And with that, I wish you peace and love and happy trails.